Hello again, welcome to another edition of Retail Week. It's Paul Schrimpf here. Going solo, Eric Svilgoy is at the Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association event in Peoria, covering what's going on there. So wanted to bring you one bit of news that we saw this week. Specifically, it was about the process safety management issue. Some shifts in the political spectrum there, and OSHA enforcement may be moving up. So I wanted to talk to Daren Coppock at the Ag Retailers Association and get his perspective on what's happening and what we can all be doing to prepare for the upcoming rule.
Talk, Daren, a little bit about the Ag Retailers Association's issues with OSHA's enforcement of process safety management, how it's kind of unfolded over the last 6 months or so, and what the particular problems are with with the enforcement of this rule.
Well, from a practical point of view, this is an attempt by OSHA to impose a manufacturing standard onto a retail facility. If you're actually manufacturing chemicals like this, there are certain process safety elements you need in place in order to make sure that the workplace is safe for employees and for customers, and that you just handle the process right. But in a retail facility, you're not reacting that ammonia. All you're doing is moving from one container to another, storing it, and moving it out to the customer. And so the onerous requirements of PSM, a lot of paperwork that has to be done, just doesn't fit in the retail environment, and it's a solution in search of a problem.
So when you look at we've had some kind of changes that came at the end of the year with the omnibus appropriations bill that look like it might push it back a bit, and now we have kind of an update to give on that front. What's going on with the rule right now?
Well, that's the other objection we had to the rule, not only the content, but the way that OSHA went about imposing it. They changed a precedent that had been in place for 22 years and gave everybody 6 months to come into compliance with PSM in their initial announcement. And there was absolutely no way the industry, even if they dropped everything else to try to come into compliance, could meet that goal. And we met with OSHA to try to convince them of that. We didn't get anywhere, and that's why TFI and ARA filed a court challenge, and that's why we went to Congress to try to get help. Where we ended up with the omnibus bill is that we got a provision in the report language there which directs the agency not to spend any money in the current fiscal year to enforce the OSHA, the PSM requirement on retailers. OSHA's interpretation of that has been, okay, that's in place until the end of the current fiscal year, which is September 30, and once the end of the fiscal year is over, their intent is to enforce.
Okay, so it could mean something serious for retailers here come the fall. What are you telling retailers to do to prepare for what could happen?
Well, we're certainly going to try to continue to work on this politically, both on the Capitol Hill and in the court system. But the only guarantee that retailers have is that it's frozen until September 30th. And so we issued a joint statement with TFI earlier this week suggesting that retailers think about, okay, how do I get into compliance? Because if they don't at least think about it now, by the time the spring season starts, you won't get any oxygen at all. There are some resources out there, several of them, to help people get started on PSM. OSHA has some training materials. The ASMARC Institute has a My PSM tool that's out there, and I'm sure there are others. Responsible Ag is working on some training materials. So there will be some assistance, but it's a good time now for people to start thinking about what happens if we get to September and the political and the judicial avenues have not been successful.
Well, it's definitely an important issue to be watching through the fall. We'll be keeping an eye on it and bringing you any additional news and information that comes from ARA or from OSHA or from anywhere else on the regulatory front. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Retail Week, and we'll see you next week.